You probably spent countless hours trying to be nice to someone, hoping that kindness alone would change them. You've smiled when they were harsh. You've listened when they criticized. You've bent over backward, sacrificed your time, your peace, your energy, and yet nothing changes. The smile you offered, the patience you practiced, the love you poured out, it hit a wall, and that wall is called a narcissist. Now, let me tell you something powerful. Being nice won't change them, not today, not tomorrow, not ever. The truth is, a narcissist thrives on control, on feeding their ego, on bending situations to serve themselves. They are not in the business of self-reflection. They are not in the business of growth. They are in the business of taking, manipulating, and projecting. And the harder you try to please them, the more trapped you feel. Being nice alone won't change a narcissist. This is a truth that many people struggle to accept because it goes against our natural instinct to love, to forgive, and to give. When someone behaves selfishly, manipulates, or demeans us, our first thought is often, if I just show more kindness, if I just sacrifice a little more, if I just love them harder, things will change. We believe in the transformative power of goodness, and we want to be the catalyst for someone else's growth. But in the case of a narcissist, this belief only leads to frustration, exhaustion, and heartbreak. Narcissists operate differently. They thrive on control, manipulation, and feeding their ego. They do not look inward with honesty or humility, and they do not recognize or value your kindness the way you hope they would. Every act of goodness you extend to them is not received as love. It is often used as leverage. Your patience may be taken for granted. Your understanding may be twisted. Your empathy may become a tool for their gain. This is not because they are inherently evil, but because their focus is on themselves. Their behavior is a reflection of their need for validation, control, and superiority, not a mirror of your efforts or intentions. When you believe that niceness can change them, you are setting yourself up for repeated disappointment. You enter a cycle of giving and hoping, believing that the next act of kindness will be the turning point, but it rarely is. Each moment you spend trying to please them, trying to win them over with your good intentions, you are allowing them to occupy space in your mind and heart that should be reserved for your own growth and well-being. Understanding this is the first step toward freedom. It is not about becoming bitter or unkind. It is not about abandoning compassion or rejecting the principle of love. It is about recognizing the limitations of your influence. Your responsibility is to yourself, to your peace, to your emotional health. Being nice is only effective when it is reciprocated with respect and integrity, not when it is exploited. When you grasp this truth, you begin to shift your approach. Instead of exhausting yourself trying to change them, you focus on protecting yourself. Instead of hoping that your kindness will heal, you set boundaries that safeguard your energy. You stop giving away your power, and in doing so, you reclaim control over your life. This shift is not easy. It challenges deep-seated beliefs about love, sacrifice, and duty. You may feel guilty, anxious, or selfish at first, because society often teaches us that to love is to tolerate, to forgive endlessly, to give without expectation. But real love, true, healthy love, does not come at the expense of your well-being. It respects both parties. But when one party refuses to respect, your love must be wise. Recognizing that being nice won't change a narcissist is liberating because it allows you to stop trying to fix what cannot be fixed through generosity alone. It redirects your focus inward towards self-respect, growth, and peace. It opens the door to boundaries, detachment, and strategic engagement, tools that actually create change in your life and protect you from ongoing manipulation. It allows you to see the reality of this situation clearly, rather than living in the fantasy that your goodness can heal them. Ultimately, understanding this principle empowers you. It frees you from the exhausting expectation that someone else's character should be shaped by your kindness. It encourages you to channel your energy into what truly matters: your purpose, your peace, and your life. Being nice is admirable, but wisdom teaches that it is not a cure for narcissism. Protecting yourself, setting boundaries, and reclaiming your power, that is what will bring transformation to your world, even if it does not change the narcissists themselves. Setting firm boundaries is one of the most powerful steps you can take when dealing with a narcissist. It is not about being harsh, controlling, or vengeful. It is about protecting your peace, preserving your dignity, and reclaiming your life. Many people struggle with boundaries because they have been conditioned to prioritize others' feelings over their own, to tolerate disrespect in the name of love, or to fear conflict at all costs. But when it comes to narcissists, a lack of boundaries only feeds their behavior and deepens your suffering. Narcissists thrive in environments where limits are unclear, where manipulation is tolerated, and where they can exploit emotional gaps. When you fail to set boundaries, you are essentially leaving the door wide open for them to dictate how you feel, what you do, and how far you are willing to go for their approval. Boundaries are not just rules for the narcissist. They are commitments to yourself. They define what is acceptable and what is not, what you will tolerate and what you will not. Without these clear lines, you risk losing sight of your own worth, your peace, and your values. Setting boundaries is an act of self-respect. It tells the narcissist, and more importantly yourself, that your time, energy, and emotional well-being are sacred. You are no longer available to be manipulated, guilted, or controlled. You are asserting your right to live a life free from exploitation. Establishing boundaries also brings clarity. It removes ambiguity about how you expect to be treated. It sets the framework for interactions so that your communication is not reactive but intentional. You are no longer operating from a place of fear, hope, or desperation. You are operating from a place of conscious choice. The process of creating boundaries begins with awareness. You must recognize the behaviors that are harmful or draining. Is it constant criticism, manipulation, emotional abuse, or relentless control? Identify what causes you to feel small, anxious, or overwhelmed. Once you are aware, you define limits. These limits should be specific, actionable, and non-negotiable. For example, you may decide that you will not engage in arguments that are meant to demean you, or that you will not respond to late-night calls that are intended to provoke guilt. Communicating boundaries is equally important. You do not need to justify, argue, or beg for understanding. A simple, firm, and calm statement is enough. This behavior is not acceptable to me, and I will not participate. This clarity leaves no room for manipulation or misinterpretation. Boundaries are effective because they change the dynamic. Narcissists rely on your emotional reactions to maintain control. When you set boundaries, you deny them the leverage they depend on. You stop the cycle of chaos, guilt, and manipulation. Over time, this creates a shift in power, not in a way that seeks to punish them, but in a way that restores your autonomy and emotional freedom. Practicing boundaries also fosters self-growth. You learn to prioritize your well-being, honor your emotions, and cultivate resilience. You discover the strength to say no, to walk away, and to choose relationships and environments that are healthy and nurturing. In essence, boundaries are not walls to isolate yourself. They are safeguards that allow you to thrive. They are the structure within which your life can flourish without being hijacked by someone else's dysfunction. Understanding the importance of boundaries is liberating because it transforms how you interact with the world. You no longer approach relationships with fear or hope that others will change. Instead, you act from a place of clarity, self-respect, and intentionality. You recognize that your peace is paramount, and you will not compromise it for anyone, no matter how charming, persuasive, or manipulative they may be. Setting firm boundaries is an act of courage. It challenges years of conditioning. It confronts fear of rejection or conflict, and it asserts your worth in a world that often undervalues it. But this courage brings freedom. It brings clarity. It brings power. When you stand firm in your boundaries, you reclaim your life. You no longer exist in the shadows of someone else's ego. You step into the light of your own authority, dignity, and peace. And that, more than anything, is what will truly change your world. Protecting your energy is one of the most essential steps you can take when dealing with a narcissist. Energy is the lifeblood of your emotional, mental, and spiritual well-being. It fuels your thoughts, your decisions, and your ability to pursue your purpose. When you allow a narcissist to drain your energy, you are giving them control of the very core of your life. Every interaction with a narcissist has the potential to leave you feeling depleted, anxious, or frustrated. They thrive on your emotional responses, your attention, and your empathy. Every time you try to reason with them, justify yourself, or absorb their criticism, you are feeding their need for control. Over time, this constant depletion erodes your confidence, clouds your judgment, and diminishes your capacity to focus on what truly matters. Protecting your energy means recognizing the value of your own emotional and mental resources. It means understanding that your attention, your time, and your feelings are sacred, and you are not obligated to give them freely to someone who will only exploit them. This is not about being cold or detached in a harmful way. It is about creating a healthy barrier between yourself and the chaos they bring. One of the first steps in protecting your energy is awareness. You must identify the behaviors, situations, or conversations that leave you drained or unsettled. Is it the constant criticism, the manipulative stories, or the endless demands? By recognizing these triggers, you can prepare yourself to respond intentionally rather than react impulsively. The next step is practicing emotional detachment. This does not mean you stop caring about the person entirely. It means you stop letting their behavior dictate your emotional state. When a narcissist tries to provoke guilt, anger, or fear, you respond from a place of neutrality, understanding that their actions are a reflection of their own insecurities and needs, not your worth. Protecting your energy also involves limiting exposure. You have to be deliberate about how much time and attention you give. In some cases, that might mean reducing contact, setting specific times for communication, or even creating physical or emotional distance. When you manage your exposure, you preserve your strength for situations and people who deserve it and who will reciprocate it with respect and care. Another crucial aspect is self-care. Protecting your energy includes cultivating habits that replenish and strengthen you, spending time in reflection, engaging in activities that bring joy, surrounding yourself with supportive people, and maintaining healthy boundaries. This is not indulgence. It is a necessity for survival and growth. It is also essential to cultivate mental clarity and emotional resilience. Narcissists often create confusion and doubt through manipulation. By protecting your energy, you maintain the clarity to see through their tactics, recognize patterns, and respond strategically rather than reactively. This allows you to remain grounded, confident, and empowered, even when faced with attempts to destabilize you. Ultimately, protecting your energy is an act of self-respect and self-preservation. It communicates to the narcissist and to yourself that your life, your peace, and your well-being are non-negotiable. You are no longer at the mercy of their demands, whims, or emotional turbulence. When you consistently protect your energy, you reclaim the power that was being siphoned from you. You become less reactive, more intentional, and more aligned with your purpose. This shift transforms not only how you interact with the narcissist, but how you engage with the world. You stop being a passive participant in their drama and start being an active steward of your life in this way. Protecting your energy is more than a strategy. It is a lifestyle. It creates a foundation for freedom, peace, and empowerment. It allows you to rise above manipulation, to preserve your mental and emotional health, and to live fully without being overshadowed by someone else's dysfunction. When you commit to safeguarding your energy, you take a profound step toward a life that is unshakable, resilient, and filled with purpose. You learn that your energy is yours alone, and that protecting it is not just necessary, it is transformative. Detaching emotionally from a narcissist is one of the most liberating steps you can take for your own peace and well-being. Many people make the mistake of investing their emotions in someone who is incapable of returning them in a healthy, reciprocal way. They hope that by caring deeply, loving endlessly, or sacrificing continually, the narcissist will suddenly see their worth, change their behavior, or appreciate the effort being given. But this is rarely the case. Narcissists do not operate from a place of empathy or reflection. Their actions are governed by their own needs, desires, and insecurities. When you allow yourself to be emotionally entangled, you give them a power that is not theirs to hold. Emotional detachment is not about shutting down your heart or becoming cold. It is about creating a space between your emotions and their behavior so that you can respond with clarity rather than reaction. It is about understanding that their words, actions, and manipulation are a reflection of them, not a judgment on your value or your worth. Many people struggle with this because it challenges deeply held beliefs about love, loyalty, and forgiveness. We are taught to care, to empathize, and to sacrifice. But when your care is exploited, it becomes a tool in the hands of someone who will never see it as love. Emotional detachment allows you to reclaim control over your feelings. It frees you from the roller coaster of highs and lows that come from trying to meet the expectations of someone who will never be satisfied. When you detach, you stop waiting for approval, validation, or affection from the narcissist. You recognize that their inability to give these things does not diminish your worth. It simply reflects their limitations. Detachment also empowers you to set healthy boundaries without guilt. When your emotions are entangled, boundaries feel restrictive or even selfish. But when you detach, boundaries become natural expressions of self-respect and self-preservation. You can say no without fear, step back without shame, and prioritize your peace without hesitation. Another critical aspect of emotional detachment is shifting your focus inward. When you are no longer consumed by the narcissist's behavior, you can redirect your energy toward personal growth, purpose, and meaningful relationships. You gain clarity about what truly matters and what deserves your attention. You become aware of your values, your needs, and your goals, and you can pursue them without interference or distraction. Detachment also protects your mental and emotional health. Narcissists often employ manipulation, guilt, or gaslighting to control and destabilize others. By maintaining emotional distance, you are less vulnerable to these tactics. You are able to observe the situation objectively, make strategic choices, and avoid being drawn into unnecessary conflict or drama. Emotional detachment does not happen overnight. It requires practice, self-awareness, and consistent effort. You must recognize triggers, identify moments when you are being drawn in, and consciously choose to step back. It may feel uncomfortable at first because your instincts may push you to react, to explain, or to justify, but each time you choose detachment, you strengthen your resilience, your confidence, and your ability to protect your peace. Ultimately, detaching emotionally is an act of empowerment. It signals that you are no longer a victim of someone else's dysfunction. You are reclaiming your life, your emotions, and your sense of self. You no longer live in the shadow of their behavior or their approval. Instead, you stand firm in your worth, unshaken by manipulation, unburdened by guilt, and free to live with clarity and purpose. When you master emotional detachment, you gain the freedom to interact with the narcissist, if necessary, without losing yourself. You gain the power to protect your peace, to maintain your dignity, and to live intentionally. You learn that your emotions are yours alone, and no one has the right to control or exploit them. This is not just survival, it is transformation. It is the path to a life of balance, strength, and freedom that no narcissist can take from you. Practicing selective engagement and maintaining self-respect is a crucial strategy. When dealing with a narcissist, many people believe that they must constantly respond, explain, or defend themselves to maintain peace or preserve the relationship. They feel compelled to meet every demand, answer every provocation, or justify every decision, believing that silence or refusal will create conflict or rejection. But the truth is, a narcissist does not operate on fairness, reason, or empathy. Their expectations are endless. Their criticisms are relentless, and their need for control is unyielding. Engaging with them without strategy only feeds their need for dominance and drains your energy. Selective engagement is about choosing carefully when, how, and why you interact. It is not about avoidance or cowardice. It is about intentionality. It means recognizing which battles are worth your energy and which are simply distractions designed to manipulate, provoke, or destabilize you. When you practice selective engagement, you stop reacting impulsively to their behavior and start responding intentionally. You create space to think, to evaluate, and to choose responses that serve your peace and well-being. This approach requires you to develop awareness of patterns. Narcissists often follow predictable cycles of manipulation, criticism, and provocation. By observing these patterns, you can anticipate triggers, protect your emotions, and avoid falling into their traps. You learn to engage only when it is necessary or productive, rather than allowing every comment, demand, or action to dictate your reactions. Alongside selective engagement, maintaining self-respect is equally vital. Self-respect is the foundation of all healthy interactions. It is a recognition that your feelings, your values, and your boundaries matter. When you honor yourself, you no longer accept behaviors that demean, manipulate, or exploit you. You do not tolerate constant criticism or emotional abuse in the name of love or loyalty. Instead, you act from a place of dignity, assertiveness, and clarity. Self-respect allows you to communicate boundaries firmly yet calmly. It gives you the courage to say no without guilt, to step away from toxic situations without hesitation, and to refuse participation in emotional games. When you uphold your self-respect, you signal to the narcissist and to yourself that you are not available to be controlled, manipulated, or diminished. Practicing selective engagement also means controlling your exposure. This could include limiting conversations, choosing the timing of interactions, or avoiding emotionally charged topics that are likely to provoke conflict. By managing your exposure, you preserve your energy and maintain emotional stability. You no longer allow the narcissist to dictate the terms of engagement or to monopolize your attention. Selective engagement is not about changing them. It is about protecting yourself. It is about reclaiming your autonomy and refusing to let their behavior hijack your life. It empowers you to interact without losing your peace, to participate without sacrificing your dignity, and to respond without being reactive. When coupled with self-respect, selective engagement transforms the dynamic. You are no longer caught in a cycle of manipulation and emotional turmoil. You operate from a position of strength, clarity, and intentionality. You prioritize your well-being while maintaining control over your interactions. Over time, this approach fosters resilience and confidence. You learn that your responses are your own, that your worth is inherent and not determined by their approval, and that your peace is non-negotiable. You begin to engage with the world, including the narcissist, from a place of power rather than vulnerability. Ultimately, practicing selective engagement and maintaining self-respect is about reclaiming your life. It is about choosing your battles, safeguarding your emotions, and asserting your value. It is a reminder that you do not have to accept manipulation, abuse, or disrespect in the name of connection. By combining these two principles, you create a life that is intentional, empowered, and resilient, one where your peace and dignity are protected, and where no narcissist can hold sway over your heart or mind. Focusing on personal growth and freedom is the ultimate step in dealing with a narcissist. When you spend time trying to change someone who thrives on control and manipulation, you risk losing yourself, your purpose, and your peace. Narcissists are rarely capable of deep self-reflection, and their behaviors are rooted in their own insecurities and needs. Trying to fix them or earn their approval becomes a never-ending cycle of frustration and emotional drain. Personal growth begins when you redirect your focus from trying to change them to investing in yourself. It means understanding that your life, your energy, and your purpose are far too valuable to be consumed by someone else's dysfunction. Instead of waiting for them to recognize your worth, apologize, or act differently, you commit to evolving, learning, and becoming the best version of yourself. Freedom comes from reclaiming control over your choices, actions, and emotional well-being. When you focus on your growth, you create a life that is no longer dependent on their validation or approval. You prioritize your dreams, your goals, and your peace above the chaos they attempt to bring into your life. This shift is both empowering and transformative because it teaches you that you do not need someone else's recognition to define your value. Focusing on personal growth also strengthens your resilience. Narcissists often employ criticism, manipulation, and emotional tactics to destabilize those around them. When you are rooted in your growth, their attempts to undermine you lose power. You are no longer easily swayed by their words or actions because your sense of self is grounded in your purpose, your progress, and your commitment to yourself. Freedom is further achieved through intentional choices. It is about deciding which relationships, environments, and situations deserve your time and energy. It is about saying no to manipulation, guilt, and control, and yes to opportunities, connections, and experiences that foster your development. Every step you take toward personal growth is a step toward liberation from the narcissist's influence. This does not necessarily mean cutting them out completely, though in some cases that may be necessary. It means emotionally detaching, protecting your energy, and refusing to let their behavior dictate your life. It means interacting from a place of strength rather than vulnerability, and choosing how, when, and why you engage when you focus on your growth. You also cultivate clarity. You begin to see the patterns, the tactics, and the limitations of the narcissist clearly. This clarity allows you to make decisions that serve you rather than reacting impulsively to their manipulation. You start to recognize what is within your control and what is not, which is a critical step toward peace. Personal growth also nurtures your self-respect and confidence. As you invest in yourself, set boundaries, protect your energy, and pursue your purpose, you reinforce the truth that your life is valuable and your peace is non-negotiable. You become someone who is no longer defined by the chaos, criticism, or control of a narcissist. Over time, this focus on growth and freedom transforms not only your relationship with the narcissist, but also your relationship with yourself. You develop resilience, wisdom, and empowerment that extend into all areas of your life. You begin to attract positive influences, healthier relationships, and opportunities that align with your values. Most importantly, you reclaim your joy, your clarity, and your sense of purpose. Focusing on personal growth and freedom is not about waiting for external change. It is about taking ownership of your life. It is about recognizing that the most profound transformation comes from within. While a narcissist may never change, your life can flourish, your peace can be restored, and your potential can be realized. This is the ultimate victory. Living intentionally, prioritizing yourself, and creating a life where no one's dysfunction can diminish your spirit. Personal growth and freedom are the keys to liberation, empowerment, and fulfillment, and they are available to anyone willing to step away from control, manipulation, and drama, and step into their own power, purpose, and peace. Remember, being nice won't change a narcissist, but protecting your peace, setting boundaries, and standing firm will. So take charge of your life and subscribe for more inspiration.